So here's your moment of reflection. If you're feeling stuck right now, if progress feels slow, if maybe you're in a season where nothing seems to click, I want you to ask yourself, what am I meant to learn here? What story am I telling myself that's keeping me small? And who can I ask for feedback today that will help me grow? Because that's what growth looks like. I'm Sylvia Garibaldi, founder and CEO of a well-established marketing training and done-for-you services company, tailored specifically for the modern legal and financial professional worldwide. While it's taken some trial and error to figure out which methods get the best results for professionals who are looking to grow their practices, fast forward to today, my team and I have nailed down and perfected a process that has helped so many of our clients consistently achieve outstanding results and create a legacy for their practices. I created the Serve First, Sell Later marketing podcast to give you simple, actionable, non-salesy, and results-driven marketing to grow your legal or financial practice like so many of our clients have. If you're a lawyer, mediator, financial, or divorce professional who is looking to become highly visible and wants to create a practice that makes an impact, then you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 67 of the Serve First, Sell Later marketing podcast. I'm your host, Sylvia Garibaldi. So if you've been feeling stuck lately, maybe like your momentum has slowed or you feel like you're working harder but seeing fewer breakthroughs, then this episode has been created specifically for you because here's the truth most people won't say out loud. Even the best of us can get stuck. And it doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It doesn't mean that your career has peaked. It means that you're being called to level up. Why? Because growth isn't linear. Progress comes always with resistance. And for plateaus, they're just launch pads for your next leap. If you know how to use them, of course. So in today's episode, I'm going to do a deep dive into the 3 shifts that top-performing legal, mediation, and divorce professionals make in order to overcome feeling stuck. Because the ones who not only survive hard seasons, they use them to reinvent how they think, operate, and lead. So this episode is here to remind you that feeling stuck isn't a sign of failure. It's really just a signal. It's a signal that it's time to think differently, to act braver, and to grow smarter. Because you're not here to plateau. You're here because you want to evolve and grow. So let's dive in. So let's start with something foundational, something that separates top-tier professionals from everyone else. And you may have heard me talk about this before. It's the growth mindset. Because when the best in legal and mediation spaces hit a wall, they don't just collapse under this pressure. They don't say, I guess I'm not just good at this, or this always happens to me. Instead, what they do is they pause, they breathe, and then they shift their mindset. And they ask, what is this challenge trying to teach me? And they understand that this obstacle, as frustrating as it may feel, is also an invitation. It's an invitation to grow. It's an invitation to improve and really just to evolve. So I want to unpack this a little bit more to see how this could actually look like in real life. So the first thing that you need to do, and what we see a lot of top professionals do, is they reframe the challenge because they don't view a setback as failure. They see it as signals, right? Signals that something needs to be adjusted, refined, or improved. Because when something goes wrong, these top professionals, they don't spiral. They will ask better questions. So what are these questions you may be asking? They are, what part of this is in my control? That's a great question to ask. What part of this is in my control? What can I do differently next time? And what can I learn from this? So this shift allows them to show up with resilience and determination, not because things are easy, because we know things will never be easy, but because they've trained their mind to go through the challenge. I hope that's making sense. The second thing they do in a growth mindset is they look for continuous improvement. So the most successful people in our industry, they don't believe that they're born talented. They believe that they're capable of growth. And they know that every skill that they need, from negotiation to emotional intelligence, is something that you can build. And that belief gives them power. It's not about being the smartest in the room. It's about being the most committed to growth. They study, they experiment, they practice day in, day out, and they treat every experience, good or bad, as fuel for getting better. The third thing that they do is that they're always looking for feedback. So this is where many professionals get stuck. But top performers, they go looking for feedback. They don't wait for it. They'll ask for it. So they will reach out to their peers, to their mentors, even clients, and say, hey, what's one thing I could do better? Or how do you think I can improve what I just did here? And when they receive the answer, they don't get defensive. That's the difference. They don't take it personally. They take it seriously. Big distinction. Because they know this: you can't grow in isolation. You grow through reflection and through truth, even when that truth stings a little. So here's your moment of reflection. If you're feeling stuck right now, if progress feels slow, if maybe you're in a season where nothing seems to click, I want you to ask yourself, what am I meant to learn here? What story am I telling myself that's keeping me small? And who can I ask for feedback today that will help me grow? Because that's what growth looks like. Not some big motivational leap, but small, powerful shifts in how you think and how you ask and how you act. So, by the way, if you're finding this episode valuable, I've covered related topics in past episodes that can really help you deepen your understanding. So please be sure to check out those episodes. I'm going to actually drop the links in the show notes below so you can easily find them. Okay, moving to number 2. Let's keep going here. I've talked a lot about embracing a growth mindset. Now it's time to talk about something just as powerful, and that is focusing on solutions, not problems. When successful professionals get stuck, and yes, they do feel stuck at times, they make one crucial move, and they shift their attention. So instead of obsessing over everything that's going wrong, they ask, what can I do about this? What's the next best step? How do we move forward from here? And what they do is they stop spinning in frustration and start building momentum. So I want to break down how they actually do this. So the first thing they'll do is when they're faced with a big, complex problem, is they don't freeze, right? And they try not to feel overwhelmed, because when they do, nothing gets done. So instead, what they do is this: they break the problem into smaller, more manageable parts. And I love this because nothing gets done when we look at something that looks like a monster challenge. You just don't want to tackle it. But if you can break it down into small steps, it feels so much more doable. So what they do is they take that huge, tangled mess and they ask, okay, what's the first thing I can tackle? What's one piece of this that I can move forward today? And this simple shift makes the impossible feel doable. And that feeling, it's where progress actually begins. Because when you give yourself something small and solvable, think about it, you'll take action because it seems easy to do, right? And that action creates clarity. Here's another move high performers use constantly. They don't try to solve everything alone. So they'll bring in their team or mentors or whoever can help them, and they gather people that they trust, and they say, let's put our heads together here. And they create space for open dialogue. They encourage creativity. They let go of the need to have all of the answers themselves. And I think that's a pretty powerful observation. They really don't feel that they have to have all the answers themselves, because they know this: collaboration is not a weakness. It's actually a force multiplier. Because when you bring in diverse perspectives, you start to see things differently. And often the best solution doesn't come from the loudest voice. It comes from the collective energy of the group. So I think that's a really good one to think about. And here's something that might surprise you, but it could be a game changer. Top professionals, some of them really visualize successful outcomes. Yes, they really do this. What they do is, before stepping into a big meeting or a high-stakes negotiation or a difficult client conversation, they take a moment to mentally rehearse. They picture themselves staying calm, They see the conversation flowing smoothly. They visualize walking away with the result that they want. So think about it. Before you go into a conversation or a tough conversation, you've probably had conversation with yourself multiple times over in your mind, right? And that's part of the preparation. It's not just wishful thinking. This is what we call mental preparation. Visualization actually helps reduce anxiety. It helps to build confidence, and it really helps to set a clear internal direction before taking action. And it's not just mindset. This is a strategy, right? This is a strategy. So here's what I want you to take away from this section in particular. If you're feeling stuck in the loop of overthinking, if the problem feels way too big or way too messy or just unclear, I want you to stop and zoom out. Ask yourself, what's one small piece of this that I can work on today? Who can I bring into this conversation to explore new solutions? And what would it look like if this worked out perfectly? Okay, those 3 questions I've just given you, I think you should really write them down. Keep them on a sticky note or beside your desk and refer to them as often as you need to, because that's how momentum returns. That's how clarity gets rebuilt. And that's how leaders, real leaders, take control of their path. All right, let's move a little bit deeper. I'm going to cover point number 3 here. So we've covered mindset. We've talked about solution-focused thinking. Now it's time for the real backbone of long-term success, especially in the legal, mediation, and divorce spaces. And that's what I call mental resilience. Because here's the truth. It's not just about being smart. It's not even about having the best strategy. It's about staying calm under pressure. It's about recovering quickly from setbacks, because you know you're going to have setbacks. That's a reality in this space, and I think you need to come to accept that. It's about being unshaken even when things feel messy or uncertain. So let's talk about how top professionals build this inner level of strength. So the first thing they do is they slow down, okay? Before reacting, they reflect. They don't just let stress hijack their thinking, even though that can be hard to do at times. So what they do is they take time. Sometimes they just check in with themselves and they ask, okay, what am I feeling right now? Is this emotion helping or hurting the way I respond? Should I be responding to that email or that call right now, or should I take a step back? Okay. So mindfulness gives them space. And in that space, they find clarity because they know they're not perfect. They're just being present in the moment. And presence is what lets them make smarter, more grounded decisions, especially in high-stakes situations. And as professionals, you know that you spend a lot of time in high-stakes situations. Top professionals don't just manage tasks, they also manage their energy, their own and the people around them. So they will work on emotional intelligence the same way others work on closing deals, right? They become aware of emotional triggers like defensiveness, impatience, or frustration. And instead of reacting impulsively, they just pause. And they'll ask, what's really going on here? How can I respond in a way that builds trust instead of breaking it? And I think this ability to regulate emotions and respond with intention makes them better leaders, better communicators, and better negotiators. Now, I want to switch gears here and talk about self-compassion, because I think this one's pretty important. And I don't think it gets talked about enough. High performers aren't hard on themselves every second of the day. They're actually kind to themselves, especially when things don't go as planned. And they understand that being stuck, that being tired, or even making mistakes is part of being human. And they don't spiral into shame or self-blame. Instead, they say, okay, that didn't go as expected, so what now? What do I do now? And they treat themselves with the same care and grace that they would offer a trusted colleague. Because here's the secret. Self-compassion, it doesn't make you soft. It just makes you stronger. It helps you bounce back faster. It clears your mind. It keeps your confidence intact, even during hard times. So if you're in a tough season right now, if your motivation's feeling low, if your patience is thin, or maybe you just feel like your confidence is feeling shaky, just know that you're not alone and you're not failing. You're simply being called to build your resilience. So for any of you listening to this episode right now, if this resonates with you, I want you to ask yourself, where can I create a little more space to reflect before reacting? And am I being as kind to myself as I would be to someone that I really care about? Because mental resilience is not just about pushing harder. It's about staying grounded no matter what's happening around you. And we know that there's a lot going on in the world right now. So I think it's important to just ground yourself. And when you develop that, you really do become unstoppable. And that's what I wish for you. So I want to bring this all home now. Today we walk through the real tools, not just tips or theories, but the actual mindset shifts that high-performing legal, mediation, and divorce professionals engage in to get unstuck, to stay focused, and to keep growing. So let me just quickly recap. You need to embrace that growth mindset. You need to focus on solutions and not problems. And really, you need to work on cultivating that mental resilience. But here's the part I don't want you to forget. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just need to keep moving, keep learning, keep showing up. Because growth is a decision. It's really not a destination. And every time you choose clarity over confusion, reflection over reaction, and progress over perfection, you're already winning. So here's your next move. Pick one takeaway from today's episode, just one. Don't overwhelm yourself. Pick one. And put it into action before the end of day. Maybe it's asking for feedback, or maybe it's breaking down that problem that's been stressing you out, or maybe it's taking 5 minutes to reset your mindset before your next big meeting. Whatever it is, just do it, because listening is good. But doing, that's where the next level lives. So if this episode spoke to you, please share it with a colleague or leave a review. And as always, just keep pushing boundaries, keep leveling up, and keep unlocking the leader you were built to be. Thank you for tuning in today, and see you in the next episode.